Hey, I'm Rora.
I'm Jane.
And we are Birds of Clay.
And we're here to talk all things Australian pottery and ceramic art.
So put your kettle on.
And let's have a chat. We would like to pay our respects to the traditional custodians on the lands on which this podcast is recorded. We acknowledge the rich history of art, craft and storytelling that has been occurring for millennia, and acknowledge elders past, present and country as provider, protector and guide. Working with clay is intrinsically linked to country, and we would not be here without the care and connection that our First Nations peoples have shown for thousands of years on this continent we call Australia. Hi, Rora.
Hey, Jane.
Hi, Sarah. Hi. Oh, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to be here today with Sarah Hotchin. So Sarah is an artist and one of our new friends.
Oh,
and
so happy.
A new local, well, an old local that's returned. So Sarah is living out just outside of Toowoomba on Waka Waka country and is here to share a bit about her practice.
Thank you for having
Welcome.
me.
Oh, we're so excited.
Aw, so nice to be here.
Yeah. So Sarah was great. Sarah contacted us on Instagram.
That's right.
Yeah, because you actually listened to the podcast. We're like, wow. And you were like, these people live locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even remember that, I think I said before, but like looking out a specific window in my little studio, putting on your podcast, and I was like, oh my God. And, you know, then you've got that weird thing like, do I reach out? Like, I feel like I want to like say hi.
You do.
Yeah, and so I did. And it was just, it was so nice to know that you were like close.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey.
Yeah, and I remember you talking about like local clays, and I think I was just starting to like experiment in that. Or like, and I was like, I mean, I feel like in the near future, there'll be definitely a collide. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be totally involved in our building a wood-fired kiln.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
We just need to learn some skills.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. That'll be good.
So Sarah, I guess like the first thing I'm really interested to hear about is like what role has art played throughout your life? And I guess when did clay enter? But
I think art and creativity has like been a part of my whole life. I think growing up locally in the country, and I had 3 older siblings, but there was such a big gap that I was really an only child. So I just remember playing in the garden all the time. Like play was such a big thing. My mum is a big creative, so I think it was always at the forefront of like living and play, and yeah, it really was just like me as a kid. So I think it's always been there. And then I think around when I was 21, I started journaling. And ever since then, every day I've been journaling and drawing, and it's my complete sanctuary. I can't even come here without it. Like, it's like, okay, it's like a best friend, you know? So I think that's something I can't live without, 100%.
and do you like write text? Do you draw? Like what?
Yeah.
I guess what do you reflect on in your journal? Like what is your journal?
Definitely experiences, like anything really. I mean, it might be a sound of a bird that I've just heard that I'm like, oh my God, you know, writing it. And then it's always written and it always goes into symbolic form. So patterns. I write things and then it's always goes into a drawing. So that's why I kind of see the world in symbol and pattern.
Yeah,
And that's where the collection, those patterns have come from.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, even here today, I'll go home and there'll be some kind of pattern or symbol that will come out of today.
Ooh. Are you all our snacks? All the snacks we've been eating.
Oh yeah, the delicious cake
Lemon
that came out.
cake.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, clay coming into my life, I think only actually when we chatted the other day, I was like, I think it started at school, St Ursula's. I didn't realise in the time, but I think having like a kiln in a school, and I made this like really funny vessel that has this frog on top.
That's great.
Yeah. I think like, you know, that kind of was at the background, and then you kind of move through life and you do little like, not weird courses, but you do little courses along the way that are like, you know, little porcelain or, and then I went to Istanbul to live, and I just really loved the culture, so I wanted to go there. And then I guess I wanted to go and learn murals.
Oh,
I went there to actually go and I wanted to be a muralist. And but then I came across a potter, a master potter there, and I started learning from him, and then I haven't looked back from then.
How was it learning from a master, I guess, in a different culture? Like, I feel like in the West we have these really certain workshops and ways of learning, but how was that? Like,
I mean, it was great. He had an assistant, and so she was really great at English, and she created the like mini classes, I guess. I was the only one, but she'd kind of, every day she'd like, there'd be another hand building technique. It was all hand building, so maybe that's where I've got the love of hand building. But he was just there kind of like coming in and refining, and I was just really in his studio space.
Yeah.
And he was there and she was there, and I just go every day and potter around. It really wasn't like something that was like structured or specific. It was very free flowing. Yeah.
How long were you doing that for?
On and off. I came back halfway, so probably a year. Yeah, and I was working freelance graphic design at the time, but yeah, I also went there every day, and then never became a mural. I've never drawn a mural in my life. So I didn't end up doing that at all. Ceramics took my heart. 100%.
yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
I feel like for all of us, it kind of entered in a really unpredictable way and kind of stole our attention.
Interesting. And then I think when you're in contact with it, there's no way you can't.
Yeah.
You know, I've always put it to sleep, like coming back to Melbourne, getting back into a full-time job. You know, studio spaces are super expensive. I just couldn't continue the craft. But it's always in the back, you should, so I think once you start, you just can't stop. But
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like we hear this from many people. It's like a bug that you catch.
that's true.
But like, no, I don't think everyone gets it.
No.
It's just us bogan country kids.
True. And maybe like playing in the
it's lots
dirt
of
as
different
kids or
people.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I know,
No,
like,
people have spoken about that. Like,
Interesting.
playing with
Sense
mud.
memory.
yeah.
And as kids, and
Even the smell, like, I know, when you can always smell that. Maybe it is that connection back to playing in the country or
Damp earth. Yeah.
And when people maybe haven't been used to that, like I think it's sometimes a bit dirty or
yeah, a bit too sensory for some people too. Yeah.
But I just love that you can get messy,
And I was just pulling handles, and I was like so slippy. My hands are so slippy, and I'm using black clay, and I was just like, wow, my hands are like the Hulk. Like these wild, like just covered
Isn't
in
it?
Yeah,
you might get a splash of
Yeah. So
yeah.
in Turkey, you were there for a while, and then did you move to Melbourne?
I went to Melbourne first.
Yeah.
So actually, from here, I went down to Brisbane. I was a dancer at the time.
Yeah.
In the Queensland Dance School of Excellence. So I did 11 and 12 at Kelvin Grove. And then I went into, I was at Brisbane, did graphic design. Then I went to Melbourne. I was there probably 5 years-ish, and then I went to Istanbul.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Melbourne for probably another 5 years. Probably not exactly the same, like the right timeline. But then, and then I went to San Francisco.
Did you do clay in San Francisco?
I did. I found, actually, when I came back through COVID time, or after COVID, I went to my sister. And I don't know, you probably too, you give away little pottery pieces along the way. So I feel like, a lot of my friends and family have these random pieces. And I remember visiting my sister in Melbourne, and she's like, Sarah, and I hadn't been doing pottery for a while. She's like, why, you should really start it again. Like, I always look at these pieces and there's something. I was like, yeah, you're right, actually. So I went back to San Francisco and I found this really amazing space. It was just like perfect. It was like open 24 hours. You know, you've got your own little space. They fire it
wow.
all for you. Yeah, and it became my second home for sure. So,
and did it have like a community around it?
Really big community, had a shop at the front. It was just this really beautiful space.
Yeah,
and
cool.
It was a beautiful walk up the hills to the space, and that's where this, my latest collection kind of started. I started, you know, hand building, and then I started drawing illustrations. So you can see these really new, you know, when you just start, they're just like so not what you have now currently, but yeah, that's where it kind of started. So then we came back here and
you're like, where are the clay people?
exactly and where can I buy clay, and you know.
Yeah. And so you've got a little studio?
I have a very little studio at the moment. Hopefully soon we'll have a bigger space, but yeah, very little tiny, quarter of the size of this room. It used to be the old kitchen actually to the house.
Yeah.
You know when kitchens were outside?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's because they were wood stoves, and if they burn down regularly, so for you would have them detached from your house so your house didn't burn down and just the kitchen did.
Interesting.
Yeah, tiny space, couple of meters by a couple of meters.
Fair bit of wildlife.
And it is stifling hot in summer because it's just like, it's literally like, it's the tin roof's just above your head.
Oh,
yeah.
So I know I love ceramics when I'm like sitting there baking hot and I'm like, I still love this.
It would have been so cold recently. Ooh.
True, but it warms up because the sun goes on the tin, and it's actually perfect in winter.
That's great.
Definitely wildlife. I mean, when I haven't been in there for a while, you just open the door very slowly because there's only one way in, one way out, and just have a quick look around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then I went in and I cleaned it up, maybe not that long ago. Cleaned it up because we were away for a while. I went into lunch, so I closed the door because, you know, it was summer and I don't want snakes to go in. So I closed the door, went and had lunch in the house. Joseph, my husband, opened the door and he's like, "Whoa, snake!" And he closed it. I was like, oh, him being American, I'm like, he didn't freak out, so it's obviously not a bad snake or venomous.
Yeah, you're like, brown snake's the bad, everyone else is fine. Yeah, I know. It's like a country thing, isn't it? It's like red-bellied blacks, they're poisonous, but they'll get out of your way.
Exactly,
and,
but it was a brown snake.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
You just become really accustomed.
It definitely, you just like the space. I didn't go in there. That was it for my day. I did not go back in, obviously. I'm just not going to share. Went back the next day. Actually, no, my sister went in the next day, and he's up on the rafters, which I never thought brown snakes climb.
Was it a king brown or was it like a brown tree?
Is it an eastern brown?
Yeah, wasn't it brown tree snake?
No.
Oh, wow. I don't think they climbed either.
And then my dad...
I feel like we're just freaking so many people out
I'm
right
so
now.
sorry. But my dad made this, because he's a farmer.
Yeah.
And very, practical. And he made this big wire weapon. So it's these two big pieces of wire twisted together. He's like, "Here you go." I'm like, "Oh, cool.
What do I do with it?
What do I do?" He's like, "You just get down low." So you just scare it off, hit it on the ground. But yeah, anyway, it's a running joke in the family, I guess, because
I love it.
In this tiny space too, I wouldn't even be able to
You wouldn't have the reach.
Yeah.
That must be quite different to San Francisco.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely different.
Yeah.
But maybe a tad more exciting. I don't know. Also, the chickens come in. They have a little look. You hear just.
Yeah.
Hello, Janice. Hello, Pearl.
Oh,
yeah, and
that's so sweet.
there's not a pet pigeon. It's just a very tame pigeon with the
crested
crested
pigeon. Yeah,
His name's Sharky because he's got a little. And he comes in too, and so there's not many humans that come, but there are many animals.
You're still making it a community.
Yeah.
In a different way.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does sound like, though, before you came back here, you've travelled quite a lot. So do you feel that, travelling has influenced your practice?
Definitely. Yeah, 100%, actually. I think
I mean, obviously you learn overseas in different places, and so that would influence, but like, I guess your idea of like different cultures and different traditions.
Definitely. I think there's one part, like, drawing wise, like I think when I'm in a different space, there's a lot of that journaling and observing, and a lot of my drawings from this like collection, you know, there's one about Scandinavian winter, which is dusky and it's like a croaky voice, you know, but it's so vulnerable, but it's also so much strength. So I feel like I travel and I gather these observations and I journal that, which then comes into my art practice, I guess, at some point. But I also think it's ceramics and how different cultures like share food. I think that's like an amazing thing to see and witness. I think that's why I love creating pieces, because like, for instance, Turkey, they have this amazing breakfast. I mean, not that this was incredible, but like this huge spread and all in little tiny bowls and dishes, and like you're there for hours.
That's
sipping
great.
tea and like nibbling, and it's so communal. Like you'd be in a big table, a communal table, and everyone's joining in, and it's that shared space. Those bowls are holding that shared moment with people. You know, that, yeah, so I think it's an amazing, like that. Also, I get that from my travels, you know, seeing how people interact with food and spaces and eating, and, you know, yeah.
Plus your drawings.
Yeah. So I guess it's like a couple of things that come together. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've spoken a little bit about your practice and you talked about this new collection. So you've made a collection of work that's just about to launch, which is beautiful and very interesting. Could you tell us a bit more, like what process, how you kind of have refined it, how it's kind of come to be?
Well, I guess the specific pieces within the collection. So there's, you know, kind of, I've gone through the list of like, you know, there's salad bowls or big sharing bowls. There's like little nibble bowls, you know, there's plates. So there's specific things within this collection, and they're all hand built. I think I tend to come back to that hand building aspect. And
What clay do you use?
Midfire, Keen's Midfire number 6.
Oh, my favourite.
Oh my god, it's my
I was going to say, oh no, it's going to be a
best.
Keen's Midfire ad right now.
So good.
It's so good. I think actually like going, like, I think we kind of, I touched on it, like going to, like making in different places, you find a clay you love.
Yeah.
And then you've got to say goodbye to it. It's not the same. Like when you come here, you have to start that like getting to know you practice again.
Yeah.
But Keen, yeah, it's definitely, I just love it so much.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that from a hand builder before,
I
that's
know.
their favourite clay.
Well, the thing is, I think even in its description, it doesn't, it says something about, not description, but it's not really maybe a hand building, but it's...
But it's not groggy, but...
No.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful.
It's just finishes so nicely,
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's this perfect blend of white and cream, too, I think. Anyway, yeah. Off on a tangent.
No, it's like, I'm like, that just opened it up for Rory.
You like it too?
It's my favourite.
Yeah.
It's my favourite. And I don't know, not last year, earlier this year, we couldn't get it. There was a shortage.
Yes.
That sucked.
Doesn't it? And when I go and get it and it is sold out, I'm like heartbroken. I'm like, oh my god.
What do I do?
Yeah. No, it's definitely...
I just feel like nothing else holds a flame to it.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It does vitrify. It actually is one of the mid-fire clays that looks, I haven't done any proper scientific tests, but looks vitrified at cone 6.
Yeah.
It's kind of super glassy.
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you have like white and then...
White, hand-built, fired, obviously, first bisque fire, and then it comes out, sand it, and then I draw on it with a, little pen, I guess. It's like a little balloon.
Oh, like a slip trailer.
Yeah, I don't know the technical term.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's got little nibs on the top.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm always putting in the water, but then throwing the water. So I'm always losing the little...
You're in the garden.
I'm always in the, like, amongst the wildlife trying to find this. Because there's one that I specifically use. It's the finest one.
Yeah.
So little funny things you go through. Yeah, then I paint all hand-drawn. But from the collection, there's 20 pieces or illustrations that have come out of my journals. And they're the 20 illustrations that I then paint on the pieces.
Fantastic. And, like, what stories are you telling with them?
Ooh, every kind of... It really ranges from the something to something. There's one there about global friendship where it's hard to explain without having the visual. But I guess it's like this idea of like traveling and being around the world and like just coming across these magnificent people like you both. Mm-hmm. And that went into a drawing. So that's one. I dot nearly every single day because it's a way of kind of looking at the stars, knowing how precious this world is. So I'm always reminded of that. So I dot a lot every day. So that's one of them.
There's one that comes to my mind instantly when I was looking at your website is the hand.
The hand, and that's about like a humanitarian connection that I think the world sometimes forgets. So it also reminds me. Yeah, the wildlife. There was one where like when I'm away, I always miss the Australian animals. I just think they're so wild and kooky and just
raucous, eh?
Yeah,
so
raucous. And it can, I feel like it really is a part of my personality in many ways. So that's one. Yeah. Many different stories. There's one about, you will not silence us. It's, about specific things happening in the world that I sometimes feel like, keep believing, So yeah, many different kinds
It does seem
stories.
It seems that like community and friendship and these kind of connections are a real core. How does that what role does community play in your practice?
I think it comes from it, like, maybe that's what underneath it all gives me so much happiness or sense of belonging. I think, there is a wonderful thing about traveling and moving, but there is an unsettling feeling of that. And what is the one thing in that moment when you are moving around? It is community, it is friends. So I think that's always been something I've gone back to. And I think as I get older, I just value my friends so, so much, or my community. And I think, when you're feeling a bit lonely or, you take a drive to the town and you might interact with a couple of people and you just feel like, I think it's very important to me to feel that. And I just think I'm so lucky wherever I've been, I have been able to find really good people. I mean, even I just remember the butcher in San Francisco at might not necessarily be a friend, but it's someone you go and interact with.
Yeah.
And you have this like story with them, but they will always be in your mind forever.
Yeah.
So, and that makes you, I think, as time goes on.
It's like the connections, isn't it?
It's connection. And maybe when I'm sensitive to the world, many times, when it feels like it's letting so much of that is being let go. I mean, even technology, and maybe that's also a big thing. The more that technology is coming into our world, I'm so drawn back to that more connection.
The idea of gathering.
Yeah, exactly.
Around, and you're creating dishes for people to gather around.
Exactly. Yeah. And that moment of shared experience. Yeah.
And the clay is that sensory engagement too.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're gathering the stories from connections, but then you're connecting to clay and then you're bringing them kind of together.
So it's this whole circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very well put, actually.
Yeah.
It's true.
So I guess it sounds like you've had this amazing life. San Francisco is much bigger than Toowoomba.
Yeah, that's true.
And also Crow's Nest.
Yeah, true.
Crow's Nest, Queensland, not New South Wales.
That's very true.
Yeah,
it always comes up, doesn't it?
I know.
Like, no.
So how has moving back been? Like, has it influenced your practice? Has it... I mean, obviously, the wildlife and the studio. And...
I think the best thing is like time and space. I think coming back to the country, things like slow down. even though life still feels so busy and, you know. But I think in a city you're so preoccupied and you're just in this, you know, running race, really, that an art practice, I mean, for some people can, you know, really work, but I think coming back here and having that time and space has been really amazing. But also coming back to something that you grew up with. It is this like kind of circle, which is daunting in many ways, because I think you want to, you know, as a teenage kid, you're wanting to run away from that. I'm not quite sure why. But
because it's conservative and hard. And like, school's horrible. Maybe, I mean, I think there's like a lot of reasons that we've run away. But sorry.
No, that's very true. Thank you. I think you're reading my mind. But coming back to it, it's a beautiful thing too. You know, we weren't actually meant to stay. We were coming back to see family. I don't know. There was talk of Tasmania or, but. Yeah, I think this idea of connection, actually, like coming back to my family, like I think we've lived all so separately. My sister in Melbourne, we've got a sister here. You know, we've really lived separately. We always came back to special occasions, but actually being around family with my parents getting older, they're still amazing, but just having this time with them, you know, so that's connection. There's this element of connection and, home.
Yeah, I think... For me, because I have a quite similar story of just coming back to stay with mum for 2 weeks and I was really burnt out and then just going, Toowoomba seems to be where I am. It's also like, I think if you're a sensitive human, if you don't want the hectic 9 to 5, if you want to embrace an artistic practice, having resources like a family property or someone you can stay with where the rent is low, or even the costs in a regional area compared to the city, like there is no way I could live in Brisbane at the moment.
No.
Or Melbourne.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the rents are just beyond what I could.
Exactly. So then, you know, your practice, which I think we all have said, like, is so important. Like, we have to make... There's an element that I just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Like, it's like...
Like, I just, you know...
It's a compulsion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky to be able to say that, you know? A lot of people are not able to, and, you know, but exactly. So I think... Okay, how can I make that happen? Well, it's moving back to a place where I can afford, or it's a bit easier than, 9 to 5, you know, having to work really, you know, a lot and to just sustain a lifestyle that you can't still do your practice in.
Yeah.
And clay, I mean, you do need, even though it's a 2x2 little kitchen shed, you know, it's still, you need space. And in San Francisco, we didn't even have a veranda or like a...
balcony,
it was a tiny space that you can't just, you know, throw clay around. So clay does need that space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have you found challenges creating in a regional area, moving from a city? Like, what have the changes been like in access to materials and stuff like that?
I think actually pretty great. I think you've just got to coordinate it, don't you? If you don't live nearby, you know, where you can get your clay, or if you're running out, I mean, it's not just like you can go up the road and, well, you can, but it's just a little bit more coordination, I guess.
And stockpiling.
Exactly. Yeah. And,
Yeah, you can't just, like, go around the corner if you're out of potash feldspar. You've got to, like, phone a friend that's
Do you have any fruit 3124?
That's very true.
Spilled mine.
Yeah. Or if your clays run out and there's none, what we've just, you know, said about Kings.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, or making sure you have enough for, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you, like, drive and get it, or do you get posted?
Drive.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually in Brisbane, like, once a month or fortnight.
Yeah.
Or we make a trip and...
Yeah. I'm going tomorrow if anyone needs anything.
Oh, see,
I'll be
that's
asking
great.
Yeah, I'll be going to Milton, so
great. That's
put your orders in.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Not listeners, I'll be back by the time you hear this, just.
But yeah, that's true. So you just, I think...
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think, you know, you talk about that studio community in San Francisco. Community here is quite different. Like, I feel like, I mean, obviously we have the Potters Club where people do work from, but I feel like we're all kind of in our little separate introverted studios, and then we have these little moments of connection and then break out again. And for me, I've realised that's actually really important.
Yes.
Is having... I find making really hard with lots of people around.
Exactly. And I think I'm so self-conscious as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I when you said that, I was like, ooh. Yeah. I think I used to go to the studio in San Francisco kind of knowing when no one was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that because, I think it's a very personal experience. It's very intimate. And...
It's like a sacred time that you have with yourself.
Such a sacred time that no one really, except for the chickens, you know, can really...
They're not judging.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. It is a very personal space, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, for me anyway, you know, the whole concept of flow and getting into that flow, I find it really hard when I'm not on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone just, you know, they don't mean to, but they're just asking you a question or...
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love, like, having a podcast on in the background. So it is still, like, you know, you two are in my space when I'm listening to you. It is the most wonderful thing to do when you are making, because you're hearing in the background someone doing a similar or trying to do a similar thing to you. So I think there is that, like, okay, I'm not alone, but I kind of am still.
Yeah. Like the connections are there, but you've got the space to be vulnerable, I guess, too. Because making is vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the opposite, though, in the city, which I do not miss, but, you know, is when someone does see your work, there is that, like, you're doing a great, you know, it's this instant, like, great job, you know.
Yeah.
That sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to do in my own mind sometimes. Like,
for sure.
you know.
And online is like a vacuum. Like,
Isn't
you don't
it?
get it.
No.
Like, I think that's why the markets were nice. Like, I'd often
Yeah.
make everything for the market and then be like, oh, my stuff's not very good.
And then like, you sell 20 mugs or something.
Yeah, and everyone's like, I love this. And
Yeah.
then people come up and say, oh, I drink out of your mug every day. And you're like, oh, what I'm doing's okay.
Exactly, Jane.
And,
I think that's exactly right. Yeah. You have to just keep pushing yourself, which is a good challenge,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So obviously you've been a graphic designer for quite a while, hey? Yeah.
Yeah, actually a long time. Since I was 21? Nearly 20 years? 20
And
years?
I think Roar and I were talking about this. Like, I feel like we can see the influence of your graphic design in how you've gone about kind of, I guess, this collection and the launch and your website. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, what you're actually doing? Because I think for me, like, I made a few pots and I went to the market and I didn't think about, they're all random colours and shapes. But I feel like you've really worked hard to get something together and now you're, like, launching. So, yeah, I guess just tell us a bit about that process.
I think, I had a little, like, business called Colour Hop with polymer clay.
Yeah.
Like, jewellery. And I just remember I rushed it. You know, and I think, like, I didn't even really think, and I put it out into the world, and I feel like it was, like, not for anyone else, but it was just not right for me. It wasn't, you know, maybe... So I think having that time... And I also had some amazing bosses that I worked with that in graphic design. And the client I was working with, actually, in the US... It had this specific standard and it had this essence of detail, and that actually all of those elements are quite important. So I think I've kind of brought that element into my practice. Like, yeah, that's a tricky, interesting and tricky kind of question. But I think it's like definitely, I don't know, it's maybe what feels right within you.
Yeah.
You know, like... That's a big element. Like, graphic design has been a big part of my life. And also working in the States, that was just like a really, a very difficult challenge, but a very good challenge to me to create those details. And then just like knowing when the right time is. I think I've sat on this collection for 2 years now.
Yeah.
When I came back to Australia, I was like, okay, in a couple of months I'll release it. But obviously that wasn't the right time, you know? I've actually allowed it, I think, it might sound a little bit, but I've actually allowed it to be ready. Not for myself to push it out.
That's so interesting. It's something I think I could learn from. Yeah.
And I think there's not an element of, I'm so excited for it to be in the world, but that's not me. Like, I usually should be so like, oh my God, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel different.
Well, you've given it the time, like you just said. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. And I'm very lucky I haven't had to rush it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely, it's been its own thing. I would really say I've just like listened to it.
Does it kind of feel like the most authentic creative thing you've ever done? Like,
Definitely.
kind of sounding that way.
I definitely think that, Aurora, actually.
Yeah.
And I think like, it's definitely me.
Yeah.
100%. Maybe that's why I'm not nervous, because it is definitely me.
Yeah.
Every element of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even the detail.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think, yeah, even the release of it, or like, it's me. Yeah.
So good. And I mean, I think it's a horrible word, but your branding or your, your colour scheme, your website, your Instagram, like, it's all really thought through. So, like, how did you kind of get that all to come together?
I think I've just loved, like, elements in graphic design I love. Elements of graphic design I don't love. The elements of graphic design I love are, like, this hand-built element, I've actually been able to create something I've wanted, not a client. I've been able to listen to myself, what the client is saying, not something that, like, this isn't right, da-da-da-da. So, yeah, I think I've just been able to, like, build the story. And also a story is important. Well, in the graphic design world, I mean, you sell an idea to a client that is so challenging. But if you get the story, you've kind of got them in.
I mean, that's just human, though. It's like, I mean, it's capitalism, but it's also...
Exactly.
It's human, and that's why. It's art, it's culture, it's... Story is the original education that we all had. True. Like, a story was what taught us how to be... set our culture.
Very true. Yeah. And I think you said it right, like the capitalist element in graphic design by selling and that's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
Even though this is about selling a product still, I'm creating the story of myself. So it's just... Yeah,
and I think there is the selling, but there's the connection too.
Yeah, no, there's the symbolism also, like, building a brand is like, for me, it's not just doing something you like, it's like, why? So all the elements of the branding and the graphics, the graphics come from, when you're trimming and there's all these parts in your table. That's all like the graphic elements of the brand. So there's always these story, like, why have you made this the way it is? There's always story even behind even all those elements.
Yeah.
The logo and
And so where do you hope for it to go?
Well, it's called Hotchin Bergado, HB. So it's both my husband, Joseph, and I. It's this space that I feel like we can bring something that we feel is when it's ready into this space. So it's not just me, but this first collection that is a part of HB will be my ceramic collection. So, I was thinking about this question yesterday, and I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. I think I don't want too much expectations on it, because then I think it doesn't take its own course. I think if I have these big ideas in like 5 or 10 years, I'm like, it might not want to go that way. It might not even end up being ceramics. I don't know. Like, I think that's why I just want this collection to come out, and it might be only around for 6 months. And I already have an idea for a second collection, about even just animals that will come out. So I think it's like this just never ending thing, that what's right for HB or this table. Yeah.
And so the collection you see, obviously it's online.
Yeah,
it's going to be launched online.
Yeah.
Do you see it existing in any other spaces?
Definitely, I'd love an exhibition somehow, but I don't know quite what that is.
Yeah.
It might be more of a community table or something in a space. I'm not sure, but I would definitely love it to have an exhibition of some sort in a physical form, because I think ceramics is so physical. Going to a market or, online almost doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, it's funny making 3-dimensional objects. They have physical presence, and that doesn't really translate through photos.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even hard to, putting pictures of pots up there because you feel like you're not communicating the soul of the pot.
Exactly right. And someone's not holding it and like falling in love with a certain piece that they've held.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's great. I feel it's exciting.
It is. And I feel like that's what I wanted this space to be. Like always something that we feel excited by, not something that you're dreading doing. That's why even it's a very small kind of batch. Every month I will just release a few.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be kind of like, oh, I've got to go and make these pots. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've tried to set up how I can sustain this as long as possible by it always being exciting or interesting for myself to keep doing. That's why, even this collection, I don't see myself like hand drawing like I'm doing maybe forever. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll love doing it forever. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It'll have its own lifeline.
So exciting.
Might only be here for a little bit.
Yeah, get on it. Oh, I'm so excited.
But I'd love to do like wood fire pieces, maybe with some like local clay. Like I feel like, in ceramics or the pottery world, it's such a huge world.
It's endless. Hey, what you can learn.
It's so endless. You don't want to just trap yourself to a certain. Like I actually feel I don't have a lot of knowledge really. I know a little bit about what I'm doing, but I'd love to learn like wood fire, like making my own clay so yeah.
Do you
could be anything?
Do you see yourself kind of traveling more and going to workshops?
Ooh, yes, definitely. I think that's always a dream, isn't it? I think I'd love to do some art residencies too. Like I think that space where you're there for a certain time, and that's because I think I need structure. So I think like I need some kind of structure to be able to create inside. So I think a residency would be interesting because you've got that structure of time in a different location, and so what emerges from that,
That's great. Are you coming to Golgong? Hey,
100%. Oh my god, I can't wait.
We're gonna have
to be with you all.
We're gonna have the best tent city.
100%.
Oh, it's gonna be such a huge camp.
So good. I think that's amazing. Like going and camping, being in a space like that, being with people you really love.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's one of those just events that is inspiring, exhausting, like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Magical.
It like fully empties your tank. You have to kind of be away from it for a couple of weeks, and then that inspiration just rolls in from learning from all the other artists.
Yeah.
It's like a slow burn. Hey?
It is such definitely.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about some of the stuff I saw.
Really?
And there's like the next one, I cannot pronounce her name. Her name's Anne. She's from I think cold Europe.
and
like up high.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are you? I think she's from Denmark.
Denmark, probably. Yeah, maybe.
But she's like a wood firer, and she's just like, she talks about pots being quiet, and she's just like, I just can't wait to sit and watch her.
Yeah.
And like just soak in the energy.
And I think that's something about like ceramicists or potters. There's never this like competition, this is not this envy or like, it's just you want to be with people that do the same thing and learn, and like there's just this awe of always being around someone or people like that.
We're lucky, aren't we? I feel
Aren't
like
we?
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit biased, but I do feel that ceramics, the community around ceramics is quite unique and special.
Definitely.
But I think a lot of people have said that. Even painters have said that to me, like, you're lucky, and it's true. There's not this.
Yeah.
I'm always just like thinking like how amazing, like, even you both talking, I'm like, wow, like that glazes, and it's just this, I think it's an amazing community. Especially I think, when you speak about coming back here, I think I'm so pleasantly surprised that there's this really strong ceramic community. It's incredible, really.
Yeah, I mean, we are, as we say regularly, one of the last universities that has a ceramic studio.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a pretty amazing opportunity
Yeah.
to just have this kind of large space with multiple kilns,
Yeah.
resources, everyone in there's keen on clay, like,
Yeah.
and then like also our local Potters Club,
Yeah.
that's in a really good space at the moment. Our gallery has an amazing ceramic collection.
Does it? That's amazing.
You know, we're about to get 60, which is the, it's touring with Australian Design Centre, but it was the, like an exhibition celebrating 60 years of the Australian Journal of Australian Ceramics. I should probably know what that's called. But yeah, so we're having that. It's opening in August at Trag, so to the Regional Art Gallery. So
yeah, I think it's it's an exciting time to be in this area, I think, for sure.
yeah, I think though it's what we make it
Yeah,
too. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
you know, like you can sit on your bum and complain and go, oh, nothing's happening, or you can just kind of try and create it.
Make stuff happen.
And yourself, you know, or like yourself meaning even like a community of people, you know, and it's not too big to not be able to do that, or it's not too small to not be able to do that. It's this nice in between.
Yeah, regional areas, and I mean, this is something we're passionate about, I think, are pretty special for clay.
I think so too.
But I mean, if you hadn't have reached out, we still might not know each other.
Oh my God, how tragic! Oh my God, it just shows to
gotta reach out. Yeah, like don't think like we're just dags that are like, yeah, maybe we'll do a podcast. You know, our mums might listen. My mum doesn't.
My mum does.
Yeah, your mum does.
Hi, Aurora's mom. I also think like moving back to a place where you don't really know people. I mean, if you don't reach out or do some kind of, or if you're not like active, I mean, yeah.
It can be really lonely.
Cone of silence.
It is. And then you really are alone. In a city, you're always you're always interacting with people. But so I think,
Yeah. Do you have any advice for like people starting out, or?
Ooh.
I feel like graphic design advice would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you could critique our
100%. Yeah, I do love helping people if they ever need any, I just think if you have something you really want to do, just do it. I think just keep going. I think that's the biggest thing too. Just keep going. Even though you feel like, oh, nothing's happening right now, or like, oh, I'm too scared. Just try and, just keep going.
Mm-hmm. I think something that I learnt from what you've just said in the last bit is also give things time.
Yeah.
That's something I could learn. I think you've really inspired me with how you've gone about this collection. And I'm like, oh, it feels right to just give things time and not rush things out. And
because that's our life, isn't it?
Oh,
always
totally.
Deadlines, always something. And I seriously think it has its own like mind, because I think when you do rush, oh, there's a big crack. Cool.
Yeah, totally.
It's always
Every
like,
time.
and I'm like, if you take the time, I mean, I'm not saying you won't ever get a crack or a disaster, but I think it is kind of when you have been pushing it.
Yeah.
It's like pushing yourself. If you really are going to go do something you don't really want.
That energy goes into the clay.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really does. I'm like, okay, I should have listened to you. Maybe it's all about listening. I mean, I think humans also, we don't listen enough,
To do that, you have to slow down.
Yeah, slow down.
Yeah.
To do that, you have to click play on Birds of Clay.
We do have like a nice slow podcast, don't we? Yeah. I like it.
It's definitely, you just want to sip a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a nice winter's sunny morning.
The fire that's still going, I'm so stoked that we have the fire going in the kitchen. It's keeping the house nice.
Yeah. I think listening, but maybe also advice like, listen to, like if someone wants to do something, I think listen to I think listening to yourself too, like your instinct. I think, if you have that instinct to do, start clay or even try it, but you don't, it's still going to be there. So I think just go and try it or...
Do you think your journal is a way of listening?
Maybe
Sorry.
Maybe selfishly it's like about it listening. because it's not replying. I think that's why.
What's you listening to yourself through your journal, maybe?
Yeah, and I think when you're writing it, you are listening to yourself. Maybe that's a very good point, Jane. I think, because when I'm going through and I've written it, I'm like, oh my God, really, Sarah? Like, are you kidding me? And then you're instantly like, boom, you've come back.
Yeah. There is something about getting stuff out of your body, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
I just think writing, whenever I'm going through something, I'm like, it's almost like I could do it blind. I just get the journal and I'm like, oh my God. Or it might be even just like, a really hard scribble. Or
And then you can look at it objectively.
Yeah.
Because it's not
exactly
inside you anymore. It's
exactly
like on the page.
I think the best thing is, well, for me it is to journal. I think, I have to always get bags that fit my journal.
Yeah. That's great. I love that you do that practice. I feel like I could learn a lot from.
But it's like what you said, even like looking back. Oh boy, like the ones that in your early 20s. It's interesting.
Do you keep blue journals?
I've got hundreds.
Oh, wow.
100. I go through
special.
one about every 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really like relationships and like there are definitely ones I've felt like I've wanted to burn because maybe that's also a nice thing. It's out and you set it on fire. But I don't.
So what do you do when you travel, like with all your journals?
Well,
Do they have a home?
Always have a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've always got a home. Oh, like my
Old
old
have a
house.
whole collection.
There's a big box in my parents' house, and I always, if I go away and it's summer and there's like fire season, I'm always saying to my dad, like, this is the main box. This is the main box. Like, take this
that
box.
in your car.
Yeah, put that in your car.
Yeah.
And there's also a big one in a big box in San Francisco still, because all our stuff is still there.
Oh.
So I'm quite, my journals, which are me, are quite separate at the moment.
Wow.
But I have a small collection, probably of my most recent ones, like next to me in a drawer. But I'll just like flip through them even, and you're like, wow. But yeah, they're interesting.
So many collections could be in those.
Exactly. But it's nice to like look back. It's also really great for memory. Like I always like think when I'm older, like, and we went camping on a trip recently and there was a bush turkey that took a bag of popcorn. But I remember drawing that and I remember writing it. And so I'll always be able to remember that moment, which is really nice. Good. Yeah.
Special.
Or like writing about this, like, in 10 years' time when we're still hanging out for our cup of teas, you look back and like, I remember the day that,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Definitely a love of mine.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, both of you, very much. I really can't thank you enough.
Oh, it's been great. I feel like there's so many things I'm going to take away from this chat. So,
and thanks for being in my life, really, and being a part of a really amazing community.
Can't wait for our adventures ahead.
Yes.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay,
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed. You can find us on Instagram at birdsofclay_podcast. Please feel free to send us any questions or comments. And if you could leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on, that would be amazing. We'll see you next time.